And then he shouted, "I love shin pads." So the NHL draft has come and gone in Buffalo, New York, and the Chicago Blackhawks coming into the draft just a few weeks ago, their first pick was going to be 83rd overall. But lo and behold, trade rumors start circling around. Mark McNeil, Andrew Shaw, Marcus Kruger, a couple of names that were on the trading rumor mill, and a lot of people were speculating, okay, is this going to be Andrew Shaw's trade? Is this going to be Marcus Kruger's trade? Is there going to be a minor trade? Mark McNeil was referenced to be potentially on the move, and Friday comes. The Blackhawks make a trade, obviously. The Teuvo Teravainen and Brian Bickle trade to Carolina got them the 50th pick overall. So Friday comes, the draft begins. Austin Matthews goes number 1 overall to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm out at dinner. I was kind of foolish making a reservation at a restaurant at 6:30 on Friday night. So I'm at dinner, trying not to ruin the night by checking my phone every 2 seconds for NHL draft updates, and phone goes off. Austin Matthews, first overall pick to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I expected that. And then there's another notification on my phone. It says Chicago Blackhawks make a trade. I'm expecting myself to ruin the night and say, I can't believe they traded Marcus Kruger for Andrew Shaw's cap hit. And lo and behold, it's Andrew Shaw who has been traded to the Montreal Canadiens for 2 second-round picks in this year's draft. Not next year in Chicago, this year. 2 second-round picks. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. I ruined our dinner by nonstop talking about how great I thought this trade was for the Blackhawks. Now, whether you believe one report or another, was asking from anywhere between $4.5 million per year or $3.2 million. Now, when the report came out that it was $4.5 million, everyone, I think, started laughing and said that that is not realistic for Andrew Shaw. When the conflicting report came out and said $3.2 million per year, it was a little bit more, okay, that's what he's probably worth out on the open free agent market. The problem is, you just signed Marcus Kruger to a 3-year, just over $3 million a year contract. So you're going to be paying 2 guys who are going to be your 4th line $6 million? That doesn't make sense. So when the report came out that, they're shopping Marcus Kruger to have a attempt to sign Andrew Shaw, I'm thinking, so you're going to trade Kruger, who you just signed to a contract just a few months ago. You're probably going to have to retain salary on that because that was part of the report coming out. And you also, within signing Marcus Kruger to that contract, you traded Philippe Deneau. So you're going to trade 2 guys who could do the exact same job, be on the 4th line, be on the penalty kill, and do it to sign Andrew Shaw. It made no sense. So I'm checking my phone. Blackhawks trade Andrew Shaw to the Montreal Canadiens for 2 second-round picks, the 39th overall pick and the 45th overall pick. After the Bickle Teravainen trade, now with the Shaw trade, the Blackhawks have 3 picks in the top 50, 4 in the top 100. That is some very smart trading. The knock on Stan Bowman is that, yes, draft picks that he has made do not get a chance at the NHL. There's a tweet by Mark Potash that went out there that said there are 3 draft picks that Stan Bowman has made since 2010 that have played at the NHL level that are still with the team. Ryan Hartman, Vinny Heinestroza, Mark McNeil. Those 3 guys have combined to play 16 games with the Blackhawks. But let's not talk about that right now. That's not the focus right now. Right now, the focus is the Blackhawks trade Andrew Shaw and get 2 picks this year. They trade Teuvo Teravainen and Brian Bickle, get a pick this year in the 2nd round, and a pick next year in the 3rd round. Oh, by the way, next year's draft here in Chicago. start stockpiling those picks. So what do the Blackhawks do with all these picks? Well, let's go through it. They had the 39th overall pick. Friday comes and goes. First round is done in 4 hours. That is a joke. You're not the NFL. You can't get away with that. So Saturday comes, second round underway. Blackhawks on the clock with the 39th pick overall. And who do they take? They take Alex DeBrincat from the Erie Otters in the OHL. Now, DeBrincat is a 5'7", 160-pound winger. That's a little small. But you got to remember, the Blackhawks have a pretty good track record of drafting really small forwards out of the OHL. You guys might know this guy. So DeBrincat over the last 2 years in Erie has played on a line with Connor McDavid and scored 51 goals. That's pretty darn impressive. What he did last year without Connor McDavid was score 51 goals. The guy knows how to get to the net. So the only reason that the Blackhawks have Alex DeBrincat fall to them at the 39th pick overall is because of his size. A lot of people thought he was going to be a top 10 talent, and he just kind of fell because GMs were afraid that his frame at 5'7", 160 pounds wouldn't be suitable for the NHL. But look at it. There's guys like Jeff Skinner that are doing pretty darn well for themselves, being pretty small and being a top-end talent. Patrick Kane, Artemi Panarin, for Blackhawks players that are small, doing very well for themselves in the NHL. So Alex DeBrincat, this guy is a goal scorer. So the Blackhawks get on the clock again in the second round at the 45th pick, the second round pick that they took from the Montreal Canadiens, and they take defenseman Chad Chris from the United States Development Program, and he is a tremendous pick at 45th overall, a great puck-moving defenseman. He's committed to Boston University next year, so obviously he's going to be going over there, and I think he's going to be a great fit for the Blackhawks down the road, especially as a defender who's great with the puck. A lot of people see him as, a guy who can control things in both ends of the ice, great in both of his zones. 5'11", 185 pounds. He's going to be a pretty good sized player once he, fills out 18. He's probably going to grow a little bit more. And a lot of people like his skill on the offensive side of things. They say he does need a little bit of work defensively, but obviously that's why he's not making the jump directly to the NHL right away. But a lot of people were high on his poise, his professionalism. A lot of people were saying in his pre-draft and post-draft interviews that Chad Chris had a lot of good things to say and had a lot of good impressions to make. So that is a good thing because you're not only drafting talent, you're drafting character. And it's the 50th pick overall, and the second round specifically went by so fast. 50th pick overall, the pick that they got from the Carolina Hurricanes, who got it from the Rangers, in the Teuvo Teravainen and Brian Bickle trade, and they take a Russian winger, Artur Kayama. A lot of people say that first off that he's got a great possession stats. In 39 games that he played with the Russian national team, he scored 31 points, very impressive. And a lot of people want to praise his elusiveness with the puck as well and his ability to distribute. He's even seen time on the power play and the penalty kill. The Blackhawks have a good track record of taking Russian players, or getting Russian players rather. They didn't draft Artemi Panarin, but he was a rookie. So on to the third round, the 83rd pick overall. Well, they take the guy who's got my favorite name out of all the Blackhawks draft picks this year, Wouter Peters, a Belgian goalie, 6'4", 205 pounds, and this guy is 17 years old. I saw a video of him from a Blackhawks prospect camp about a month ago, and he is huge in net. I mean, he looked like Scott Darling. Obviously, Darling is 6'6", but this Peters, 6'4", at 17 years old. He's going to grow. But the problem is he's a very big sleeper pick, very raw in his potential. It's kind of a stretch for the Blackhawks to make this pick. Obviously, they needed a goalie for their development. They needed someone to be a goaltending prospect that they could look towards and be like, this guy might have a future with the program, because They didn't really have that. And now they have Wouter Peters from Belgium, the first true Belgian ever taken in the NHL draft. So then we get into the fourth round, the 110th and 113th picks overall for the Chicago Blackhawks, and they take a Swedish defenseman 110th overall because there's not enough of those with the Blackhawks. Just kidding, I love them all. Lucas Carlson gets selected 110th overall by the Blackhawks, a big body defenseman, 6'2", 200 pounds, and he's thought to be a very defensive-minded defenseman. The downside to him is he doesn't really bring you much in the offense right now. But that's okay. The Blackhawks have a lot of defenders that can jump into the offensive rush right now already in their system. Gustav Forsling, Billy Polka, those are prospects that have that ability to jump in and create some offense from the defensive end. And those are two guys that I think in the next year or two are going to have a good shot at getting a chance at the NHL level. They're going to be playing in Rockford this year for the most part. Then the 113th pick comes around and the Blackhawks back on the clock. They take Nathan Noel, 6 foot, 180 pounds center. Noel is thought to be a shoot first, pass second type of center, but it looks like that the reason that he fell so far is because a lot of people are a little skeptical about his hockey IQ. A lot of times it seems like his vision on the ice is just to get the puck on the net. That's okay. It's never bad to put the puck on the net. That's how you score goals. But you got to think at the center position, you got to be able to see the ice a little bit better, and your decision making has got to be a little bit crisp. So then we get to the fifth round, and the Blackhawks have back-to-back picks, the 143rd and the 144th pick. With the 143rd pick, the Blackhawks take Matthias from Denmark. He's going to be playing in Sweden next year. 6'1", 185-pound winger, can play both the right and the left side. So he's a pretty sizable guy already at 18 years old. He's a very versatile player. He does a lot of things well. Doesn't do anything great. A lot of scouting reports say that he can be plugged into a lot of different situations, power play, penalty kill, but nothing about his game really jumps off the page. Really a jack of all trades, master of none. Also, if you haven't seen Master of None on Netflix with Aziz Ansari, go check it out. They trade the 144th pick to the Blackhawks trade their 144th pick in the fifth round to the St. Louis Blues for a pick in next year's fifth round. Again, that draft being held in Chicago. So we move to the sixth round, the 173rd pick. Bet you didn't think you were going to get this much breakdown, were you? The Blackhawks select Blake Hillman, the defenseman from the University of Denver. Without him next year, a lot of people think Denver's not even going to make the NCAA tournament. That's how big of a key Hillman is on the defensive side of things for the University of Denver. As a defensive defenseman, Hillman, very solid, good pick in the sixth round. Then we get to the seventh round, the final pick for this year's 2016 NHL draft for the Blackhawks, 203rd overall. They take a defenseman, Jake Rysick, another defenseman who's really good at the possession game, and that's something that the Blackhawks really needed. So in the seventh round, they get a puck-moving defenseman. His hockey IQ is pretty high. So all in all, the Blackhawks make 9 picks in this year's NHL draft, all coming outside of the first round. They go to Brinkett, Chris, Kayumov, Carlson, Noel, from Hillman, and Rysick. So now we get to the most exciting part of the offseason, in my opinion, the free agency period. And you don't get too comfortable. Monday, the 27th, qualifying offers are due. The next day, Tuesday the 28th, restricted free agents can start meeting with teams to decide what they want to do with their contracts. Then, on the 30th, the buyout period ends for the first time for teams this offseason. The very next day, July 1st, baby, free agency! It's like Christmas, and I really feel bad for my friends north of the border in Canada that free agency has to open on Canada Day. That would literally be like free agency opening on the 4th of July here in America. Shush. Sorry, guys. He was getting a little whiny. He was getting a little sad, weren't you? Don't judge me. So that is it for the NHL draft recap video here on Hockey Night in Hawkeytown. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you like what you saw. Free agency, like I said, opens on July 1st. Oh, it's going to be fun. Again, you can find all the Blackhawks news you could ever want at blackhawkup.com. You can find us on Twitter at Blackhawk_up, and you can find me on Twitter at Mario_Terabasi. You get a little squirmy? It's time for breakfast.